But if you find yourself in these scenarios, know that you've got these tactics to fall back on. Use your instinct and treat your vehicle like a weapon and keep moving off the X until you're to a level of safety that's going to protect you and your family.
The information in this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes. Our informational content cannot address all dangerous situations and cannot guarantee your survival or prevent injuries when the unexpected happens. The decision to carry a firearm, either for recreation or for personal defense, carries the risk and potential for injury and or death. Therefore, it is advised that you seek out and acquire proper training before using a firearm or any firearm-related product.
What are some self-defense techniques?
What would happen if there was a global internet outage?
What should I do if I hear shots ringing out?
Or what I should do if there's a major terrorist attack?
What should I have? What's the best?
What should I do?
What does that look like?
What would you recommend?
Is there anything I could do?
All right, guys, welcome back to Dangerous Questions, an Ironclad original. This episode is going to be focused on being in and around your vehicle, carjackings, and look, we spend a lot of time in and around our vehicle, living in them, getting in and out of them, going to work, in our homes. This is a subject I think hits really close to home for a lot of people, but also to take really seriously, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you see a circumstance or a situation that you could have avoided or that you'll go through, that you can better arm yourself. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this episode. So like always, take notes, think about this stuff, watch it again, share this information with everybody else, because again, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So let's get into our first question. All right, hitting it right away. What should you do during a carjacking if your family is in the car, presumably with children in car seats? I'm looking for guidance for both the situation where you're armed and unarmed. Okay, I'll get to the armed and unarmed thing here in a minute, but I want to make something very clear. Just like I talked about in the last episode about fighting, hiding, and then running, you know, fight needs to be at the forefront of our minds. And if any of my children are strapped into the vehicle, I am literally their last line of defense. I am what's going to become in between them saving their life and most likely losing it if I let that car and them out of my sight. The chances are not good if they leave that scenario. So already right off the bat, I want everybody to understand that if one of your children is strapped into a car seat or they're in the vehicle or your family member's in the vehicle, I am going to do whatever it takes to fight my way through protecting them. I am going to cling onto the car, jump in the vehicle, and do whatever possible I can to save their life. That needs to be something that you confront immediately if you have family in the vehicle. I talk about the contrast of somebody that has no family or children and somebody that has multiple children. It's going to change the context and how we respond. Because again, is it worth it if nobody else is in the vehicle? We're going to talk about that as well. So I talk about this on social media, but you're talking about a vehicle. You're talking about your children. There's an order of process here that should really be understood when it comes to controlling and manipulating your vehicle with children. Number one, always have positive control over your keys. Never, for any circumstance, this is non-negotiable, again, leave the keys in the vehicle without you and without them on your body. Don't start the car and leave them in there with your kids in the car. Don't do anything else other than have those keys on you at all times. They're either where you put them at home or they're on you and on your person. The second thing is never leave anybody in the vehicle unattended while it's on. So don't go warm your vehicle up and start the vehicle. And when you're going to see one of the scenarios at the end, we're going to break down. It's really serious and even makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Is that you don't want to go start the vehicle while kids are in there and then go in the house and get something. I mean, I honestly don't care how important you think it is. That split second of leaving your kids in the car while it's running and able to drive away is not worth their life. No matter how good of a neighborhood you think you're in, no matter what spot you're in, it is not worth risking that at all. So make a commitment to yourself, make the decision right now. The keys never leave your side, and the vehicle is never on with anybody in the vehicle unless you are behind the driver's seat and you are behind that wheel with positive control over what's going on. And then with kids, I would even try to ramp it up even further. The doors should be locked, the kids should be buckled, and you should be ready to go in the driver's seat before you even think about doing anything else with the vehicle, like starting it or anything like that. Before you buckle and don't lock your door, there's the order of process I talked about in the past. So stuff that's non-negotiable. Why do I say non-negotiable with the vehicle? Because it can save your life. These changes. The other thing to think about is your vehicle is a weapon. Your vehicle can be used as a weapon through a language, and they're made to get in accidents, multiple hour head-on collisions, and people still survive with all the and the structured. So forget that you have a really weapon in front of you, and we got to get rid of this. I don't want to mess my car. Again, we're going to watch that back me up here. When your life is in danger, who cares about what's going to get bent and broken, what tires are going to get popped? It does not matter at that point. Anytime your life is on the line, all bets are off the table. Everything's, your life thing, especially your family. The other thing about is your safe or not. If your children are in there, then it's going to change the way you respond to this. And it goes along with or unarmed. If my child is strapped into the vehicle, a 3-year-old is buckled in the back, I'm at the gas station, off, the keys are in my pocket, and I'm gassed up. If I have the vehicle in my pocket, and you guys have to pay attention to this because every car, every trip is a little bit, and you should test this, and I know this because I've run different scenarios. Sometimes that vehicle will start if the door is open and you're 3 feet away from the inside of the vehicle and they're still strapped in. And if that's the case, it's something that you need to be aware of because somebody could still jump in, hit the start button, and take off. So I would encourage you to test those things. Now, say that happens, because I know on our minivan that actually will happen. I'll be out of the vehicle a couple feet away with the door open and you can still hit the start button. So say if I'm not paying attention, my awareness is way down, I am carrying, I'm sitting there at the gas pump and I'm looking at the gas thing, listening to the commercials they got playing because I got my head up my butt, and somebody jumps in, starts the vehicle and shuts the door to drive away. I mean, I am at that point realizing that my 3-year-old's life is in extreme danger and potentially going to lose it because this guy's going to go and do whatever he wants with the vehicle with no care to himself or what's going on with that. And at that point, I'm absolutely going to probably, I say this because there's always gray area here, but my instinct in that moment most likely would be on the X to be able to draw my firearm and figure out if I needed to use it or not, because that is the line that I just drew between losing the life of my child and taking action and taking lethal force into play here so that that doesn't occur and they don't go any further. So that's one scenario where armed, I'm going to think to myself, okay, I'm absolutely within my right to draw down on this guy that's trying to take my vehicle with my son strapped in there. Unarmed, this is where combatives comes into play. Unarmed, you have a lot of different tools at your disposal. Know your environment, know your vehicle, know how your key's working, know where your children are, know how you can use the gas station or whatever other environment that you're using to your advantage, and then know combatives. Know how to train in self-defense, in jiu-jitsu, in Muay Thai, all these other things that are gonna help you gain a level of awareness to break contact, get inside the vehicle, lock the door, then move off the X. Get to safety and get out of there. The main thing to consider in this, guys, is the fact that if our children are buckled in or our lives of our family are at risk, we need to do whatever it takes to get them to be safe. And that's running different scenarios again and again. That's why I talk about, doing reality training. It's so important for people that have never done it before. Even the mom at home, the dad that doesn't know much about protecting their family, if you go get into some courses with some scenarios, it will open up your world and your awareness to what you're capable of and what you should or shouldn't be doing very, very quickly. So I always encourage you to try to do that once a year, maybe once every couple of years. That'll be so much more than the average person's getting and what you aren't already training on. All right, next question. In what situations do you recommend fighting back versus surrendering your vehicle? Okay, so this is exactly what I talked about before about knowing who's in the vehicle and who's not in the vehicle. If I am by myself, this is temporal. This is a material thing that can be replaced. Nothing inside of the vehicle, if my children aren't in there, are worth my life. And if it's as easy as, hey man, take my keys, it's all good. You got a gun to my face and you kind of know what you're doing and you really want my vehicle, have it, have a great night, and see you later. Then that's it. I walk inside, I take a deep breath, I call 911, I tell them what happened and run the report, and it's over. As opposed to me making the decision where my pride gets in the way, where I'm saying to myself, this guy's not gonna take my truck. I'm like, okay, well, am I really assessing if it's really worth it at that point? Again, I wanna know that I can fight first, because sometimes people don't care if they got your car or not, or they stole your vehicle, they're still gonna kill you. And that happens often. Hey, thanks for the keys, and now bang, you're dead. That's where a level of instinct and intuition must be adhered to. When your hair stands up in the back of your neck to be like, man, this is really bad, and I feel like something's off here, you have to listen to that instinct and respond with action, depending on what that is. Maybe it is you handed over your keys and they're still searching for you, they're still taking your wallet, now they're throwing swings at you, or they're trying to rough you up in whatever way, shape, or they want. That's something that you need to pay attention to. I think that if we feel like they go over that phase line, and I'm always drawing phase lines, and I'll talk about that in the next question too, is like as soon as they step over that line, that's it. They've now come into the ring with me, and now I feel sorry for what's gonna happen to them. But you have to understand what's worth your life and what isn't. Letting them go with my vehicle, totally fine. Kids strapped in the back, totally different story. Now I have to fight for my life. What's up guys, Dom Raso from Dangerous Questions. We are gonna be doing live call-ins from you guys on January 21st. You're gonna be able to find a way to call in both on Instagram and YouTube for Ironclad and on my channels. You can also see the details below. We wanna hear from you guys. We wanna hear your dangerous questions so we can get into it, get into the context, and find some solutions for what you guys have to ask. See you guys then. All right, next question. All right, if a mob attacks your car in a civil unrest situation, should you try to flee the vehicle or drive through the crowd? What's one of my principles? Your vehicle is a weapon. Know that that's the case ahead of time and know you can use it to your advantage. There's some scenarios that unfold and go bad really quickly in a mob scenario. You need to be able to use your instinct and say, is this getting bad enough to where I need to start pressing through? As soon as people are banging on the window and hitting your car, that's assault. That, especially if my children are in the vehicle and it's a risk to them, or it's breaking the glass or hitting one of them, I have every right to start pushing through, and I need to use a level of force that I think is necessary to break contact and mitigate risk to me and my family. So at that point, I'm gonna start assessing, do I need to start hitting the gas and punch through here or not? You know, is this gonna get so intense or not? Now, there usually is a point where that mob mentality, it picks up quick. It's that whole pack mentality, tribal mentality. As soon as one or two people start doing it, then everybody starts piling in. As soon as you feel that happening, it's time to go. It's time to get off the X. It's time to keep moving and mitigate that risk to yourself. Don't forget your vehicle is a weapon, and just get off the X. This goes without saying, but I still need to say it, is that hopefully we're not putting ourselves in these situations to begin with. Hopefully we're able to predict as we're driving, and I know and I understand that it can't always be this way. You know, I've found myself in some pretty hairy scenarios that I wish I didn't take the wrong turn, but I did. And if you can look at a street and say, you know what, that just doesn't feel right, let's keep moving this way, that's the A+ answer. But if you find yourself in these scenarios, know that you've got these tactics to fall back on. Use your instinct and treat your vehicle like a weapon and keep moving off the X until you're to a level of safety that's gonna protect you and your family. And again, are you carrying or not? You know, are you armed? Go in armed. If you are armed, well, that's another layer that allows you to delay a little bit further. Like, is this gonna get as bad as I think it is? Okay, now they're really smashing on the windows. Oh, now they just broke a window. I need to use my vehicle and have my firearm ready and prepped, ready to use it. There was a scenario that occurred a while ago. I think it was a couple of British SAS guys. I don't wanna misspeak here, but they ended up drawing their guns, not fully intending to use them, and then they ended up getting used against them. And I think it's really important to understand, it's like once you go over that phase line, remember, you make that choice that once you step over, all bets are off and it's time to go full bore until you're breaking contact and off the X. Thank you, Mountain Tough, for sponsoring this episode. If you guys are looking to get in elite shape and great physical condition and boost your overall fitness, you can do it with the Mountain Tough digital training programs. And right now, it's free for 14 days. You can train anywhere you travel with minimal equipment, whether it's in the gym, outdoors, or even at your house. Their app offers expert, progressive plans to build strength, endurance, and resiliency to prevent injury and burnout. They have follow-along coaching videos that will keep you fired up and motivated at every level. Designed for mountain athletes, hunters, tactical professionals, and outdoor adventurers everywhere. Mountain Tough is led by elite athletes and military veterans. You can start your free trial today and use the code DANGEROUS at checkout for 40% off your annual subscription. These guys are locked on when it comes to elite physical fitness, and it starts from the ground up. Go check them out. Next question. A friend of mine was driving and gang members moved trash cans into the street to block the street. He was able to escape, but what would you do in a scenario where people were trying to block you in? When should you feel justified in driving through objects or hostile people? Okay, this just continues off of everything we've discussed to this point. Now, I will say the whole idea of putting stuff in the road and creating an obstacle is a tactic that terrorists and people have used for a long time. Gang members are used to doing this. And I always have that feeling in my gut when it's late at night and it's a place that you're not familiar with. You're like, why are things in the road? This doesn't feel right. Typically, you're right. It doesn't feel right because there's a reason behind it. And when you start to sense that, it's time to start going into a proactive mindset of getting through there. And as soon as you feel like that's a deliberate attack, if you have obstacles, now all of a sudden people are coming out right where the obstacles are, it's time for you to get through and blow through those obstacles. Again, your vehicle can handle a lot of damage. You need to start assessing that. Also, where you just came out of. You know, if you got in there, there's a good chance you can get out. Now, that's not always the case in a mob scenario because everybody else will pile in behind you and they don't want to get in front of the vehicle. But understand these different scenarios is that as soon as you have that phase line, if I pull down a road, I see obstacles, I'm like, that's weird. Like I might already start slowing up before I even get to that point to say, hey, can I just reverse out of this real quick? This might just be an easy this doesn't feel right. Okay, no traffic, quick reverse, looking in my mirrors and get backed out and then turn around or do a 3-point turn in that scenario. But if you end up having your awareness down and you get to the obstacles and you go, wait, I didn't expect this. You're like, what's going on here? Now people are coming out. I would start thinking very quickly about what actions you're gonna take. The phase line's already been crossed. Now your life's at risk, especially if you're with your family, and it's time to make some moves very quickly. And if people were coming out and pressing me with those obstacles, I wouldn't really care who's behind me at that point. It's late at night. This is not a good place to be already. If you got behind my vehicle, that's your problem. I'm with my family and I need to get out of here. I'm in reverse doing a 3-point turn and we're gone. So understand that you've got to create that phase line. So the next time you see a situation like this, my encouragement and request for you is to build the phase line already. Say to yourself, hey, if this happens and this happens and this happens, 1, 2, 3, that's time for me to act. That's time for me to blow through, reverse, do a 3-point turn, change my demeanor, my direction of my vehicle, and go the other way. So hopefully that sheds a little bit of light on what you guys should be doing. If you sense this danger, then you're probably right. And it's time to do something about it and not wait too long. One of the worst mistakes people make is just they keep saying to themselves, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be. No, this isn't really happening. We can just press through a little bit longer. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my instinct is off. Trust your instinct.
Hey, Mike Baker here, host of the President's Daily Brief podcast, former CIA operations guy, and a big fan of Ironclad podcasts and productions. The folks at Ironclad have graciously given me a moment to tell you about an epic trek taking place in January, this month, and well into February, in order to raise awareness and funds for the UK Special Forces Benevolent Fund. Now, the Benevolent Fund is focused on the needs and well-being of the United Kingdom's military and veterans. It's a great cause with a lot of work to do. To raise awareness for the fund, 5 of us from the UK's Special Forces Club, along with 10 camels and an amazing support team, set off in early January to retrace the 700-mile grueling route taken by Lawrence of Arabia and the small Arab army back in 1917 to go from Al-Waj in the Saudi Kingdom to Aqaba in Jordan. Assuming nothing goes sideways, we expect to ride into Aqaba on 7 February. If you'd like to learn more, please check out the fund's website at www.sfcbf.org. Also, you can get updates on the trek by following the trek's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn sites. Just search SFCBF Trek. And thank you again to Ironclad for their support.
Okay, I'm going to back some of these points up with these scenarios that we're going to get into. Always my favorite part because we get to see real live scenarios broken down for you guys. And you can always learn from film. So let's get into the scenario breakdown. All right, so this is the one that I was talking about earlier. I mean, we're already off to a bad start because you can tell what's going to happen here. We have an infant in an infant carrier being placed into this SUV. All right, okay, average day, not that big of a deal. You know, you're going to put your child in, shut the door, but then where's this guy going? All of a sudden gone. Now, my instinct says that these guys saw the vehicle running. Maybe there's some, you know, exhaust fumes coming out, but something cued them on to, oh, that's a car that guy just walked away from. It's early in the morning. People are going to work. I don't know the context of this, but this is the worst it gets. The car's running clearly. This guy gets in the vehicle. This guy responds way too late. His awareness is completely down, and I'm sure he completely changed his life from this. But this bad guy is now in the vehicle. Now, this is where that guy is so blessed that he got out of that unscathed. And even the fact that the vehicle is still in forward and ended up just pushing back into the driveway. He's holding his other child while he's behind the door and the guy's in reverse. I mean, the worst possible place that you could be if that guy hit the gas at all, that could have been the life of that small child that he's holding. But his instinct kicked in, and honestly, as soon as that door opened, guys, I would have been in the vehicle with him. At least had a little bit more protection for the child that I was holding, but also thinking to myself, maybe that child gets put down and put aside. Hey, sit down on the ground, don't move. Door opens, get in the vehicle with him, and you're not leaving until you get control of that vehicle. There's risk all over the place, and you're in the midst of the battle here. So you have to ask yourself, which one is more advantageous and which risk is higher for me? Okay, he notices the guy in the car, boom, put the kid down right behind the car. I mean, I'd shove them down pretty hard so they're staying put. I don't even really care at that point if they get hurt because the priority is the infant in the back seat. I mean, they are so lucky they didn't just get run over right there. And whatever he said to them or whatever engagement occurred, the guy decided that it wasn't his day, thank God, right? Because that could have been bad for everybody taking that vehicle. So this is one of the scenarios that I've talked about where you need to do everything you possibly can, and it's your life or the child's. And at the end of the day, you know what the answer to that is, and it's time to fight with everything you got. I don't even care if you don't have any training. You have got to step into the breach here and get in that vehicle. He should have been jumping in right then and there. Child down, jumped in the vehicle, grabbed the guy by the neck, you know, start wrapping the guy up and get it back into park too. You know, if you can, grab the middle of the center console. This is where training comes into play, and seeing these things over and over and over again is going to help you guys mitigate this risk. Also, please, at home, get in your own vehicle, know your vehicle and how it functions, and do what I said from before. Do not start your vehicle unless you are in the helm. You are at the wheel of that vehicle. Do not leave the vehicle running. Keep the keys in your pocket and under your control, and you should not leave the vehicle unattended. Both children should have come out with you at the same time if you have multiple children to load. And now, again, they're 2 smaller children, but each one of my kids know their role in safety is that all of my older children are responsible for helping everybody else get in, from least from the youngest to the oldest. They all have a part to play, checking their awareness, checking their six, making sure they're helping everybody get buckled in, and they don't shut the door until everybody else is set, ready to go, until I'm in. It might be worth noting that I don't ever get in the vehicle until they're all buckled in. That way I can help mitigate any threats that are coming in. And same thing, I'm always the first one out of the vehicle to help everybody check my immediate area and then help everybody get out of the vehicle. I'm sure we could do a whole video just on the process of getting in and out of vehicle alone. But hopefully from this scenario, you guys, please, I hope you learned something from this. Apply it to your life. It's worth nothing if you don't. And take it seriously. Okay, next one. All right, so we've got a crowded area. You guys may have seen this on YouTube or not, but either way, there's that mob mentality coming into play here. They're in a Prius. I think that's a Prius, right? It doesn't matter if it's a Prius. I don't care if it's a go-kart. I will take some people out with a go-kart. And you need to remember that your vehicle is a weapon. Okay, you've got other vehicles involved now. A little bit more intense. Now you've got other metal smashing on metal. These guys are coming up. They should have seen them coming sooner. As soon as you got out of that area of threat, honestly, your foot should have been on the gas. At that point, it's not the time to worry about a speeding ticket because your life's on the line. Now they got guys getting out. They've got guys hitting the vehicle. Like, what is going on here? He's in. If you are in my vehicle, I'm sorry, you're losing your arm, and you're coming with me. This whole thing is getting bad real quick. I'm smashing into that car. I'm taking off. There just needs to be a little bit quicker of response and thought going on. I mean, look at the threat that's out here. They're hitting the car, cars are behind them, hands are in the vehicle. Guys, it's time to be violent with your vehicle right there. There is no reason that you shouldn't be smashing your way out of there and using the gas to your advantage. Looks like they got a pretty free and clear exit, which is good, and that's not always the case, because what happened back here can get really intense really fast. So think earlier, think quickly, and do everything you can when it's the phase lines, when you pass the phase line, it's time to be violent and get your way out of there and get off the X and get into a better area. All right, so hopefully you guys took something away from these. These are really good scenarios to break down, both from the mob mentality and also the process you need to be thinking about how you get in and out of the vehicle with your children. Please, guys, please adhere to that if you have kids. Do not make yourself a statistic because you didn't listen to this video or pass this knowledge to somebody that you love and care about, including your significant other. That's it for today's Dangerous Questions, guys. God bless you. Thank you for your support, and keep crushing everything. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Ironclad creates premium content no matter the environment. From extreme elements to unforgiving terrain, we thrive on crafting content that captures the essence of your brand in the most challenging conditions. Bring your brand story to life, ensuring your message leaves an impact. Ready to elevate your vision? Connect with us today at IroncladAgency.com.